later, WTOG-44 Sports presents the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Miami Dolphins. Tonight from the stadium, Tampa Bay closes out the 1996 preseason as the Miami Dolphins come calling. Hi, everybody. Ron Franklin along with Randy Cross. And, Randy, you've been in a situation. You've seen those jitters in the locker room many years before. 53 of these guys are secure because they're going to make this football team. There are 7 that are literally walking in a minefield, but they have no idea who they are.
Well, the coaches know who they are, but there are some positions that are in question when it comes to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Kick returner is one. 8th or 9th defensive back could be another one. 3rd tight end, for instance, and 5th wide receiver. So it gives you something to look at as this game goes along. But what Tony Dungy and Jimmy Johnson, for that matter, are looking for in this game is consistency and execution. Something to lead into next week, something to build on, something to be positive about next week in the meeting.
Who are some of the guys who we're really going to see tonight, see a lot of, and will be under the microscope, so to speak?
Well, I think the people, there's 3 of them you really have to take a long look at tonight because they're going to help the Bucs down the road in the regular season. One is Reggie Brooks. Reggie Brooks recently acquired, former Washington Redskins, former 1,000-yard rusher. He doesn't know all the offensive plays for Tampa, but he knows all the running plays. That's all he really needs. Number 2, Carl Williams, the rookie wide receiver. Tony Dungy and the staff love this young man. And with the injury to Horace Copeland, it's very important to this Bucs offense that he really steps to the plate. And thirdly, a guy that 3 weeks ago in the opener got to play against All-Pro Richmond Webb. I'm talking about Reagan Upshaw, the rookie defensive end for the Tampa Bay Bucs. Richmond Webb kind of handled him on most instances in that game 3 weeks ago, and Tony Dungy is really looking at how this young man reacts and how he solves that veteran puzzle the second time.
And this is a great way to evaluate him when you're going against the best. Let's go to the other side of the field. Jimmy Johnson, we know the reputation that he maintained in Dallas. Wheeler dealer, always gambling, big trades, and he was successful with it. Stoyanovich earlier this week, gone. Is this the tip of the iceberg, the beginning of Jimmy Johnson's wheeling and dealing in Miami?
Well, you know, don't forget Terry Kirby's out in San Francisco now as the running back. I'll give you a little example. The guys that make the Buccaneer roster after this week have got a very good chance of being with the Tampa Bay Bucs all year long. They want to build consistency. The Miami Dolphins, they got about 10 guys that are going to be regulars. The rest of them are rent, don't buy for the rest of the year.
Okay, stay with us. We'll be back with the starting lineup and the opening kickoff. It's the Bucs and the Dolphins. Next. Tony Dungy, the new head coach, actually the youngest coordinator in the National Football League at 28. That was in 1984 at Pittsburgh. And across the way, in his first year as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, 53-year-old Jimmy Johnson. 2 Super Bowls to his credit, Super Bowls number 27 and 28. Those, of course, were the seasons of 92 and 93. Michael Husted has the ball. Husted has the ball teed at the 30-yard line and will kick it off for Tampa Bay. Spikes one of the deep men along with Jarris McPhail. Husted's kick at the 3. McPhail across the 25 and in the vicinity of the 28-yard line. Now Miami's backs and receivers, Randall Hill, O.J. McDuffie. Keith Byers at tight end. He played that some up in Philadelphia. Spikes and Pritchett are the running backs. Up front, Webb, Sims, Ruddy, Gray, and Billy Miller. And, of course, the quarterback, the all-time leader in passing. His numbers last year, 3,668 yards, 24 touches, but 15 interceptions.
And Ron, Miami opens up with 3 wides, no tight ends.
Karim Abdul-Jabbar, the youngster out of UCLA, gets the first carry as we take a look at the starters on defense, the defensive line and the linebackers. Curry, Culpepper, Sapp, Upshaw, and the backers Martz, Nickerson, and Derek Brooks. Jabbar, 5-10, counted off at around 16 yards as he takes it up to the 47-yard line. Johnson comes up from the secondary to make the hit. He is the starter at free safety. Joining him, Abraham at left corner, Dimry back at right corner after that injured ankle, and Todd Scott is the strong safety. Jabbar wrapped up at the line of scrimmage, this time knocked down after a short gain, and number 51, Martz, comes over to make the hit on him.
Well, Ron, we noted it's 3 wide receivers, and also Dan Marino, Miami, no huddling this offense from the get-go. We knew we weren't going to see much of Marino. We knew it was a series or two. We didn't know they were going to try to get over as soon as possible.
I'm a little surprised he's playing in this football game tonight. I think you are too, aren't you?
Definitely, but you won't see him long.
Short drop, quick pass, Wainwright over the middle.
Well, if there's a quarterback in this game for the Dolphins that has to really sort of earn his paychecks for the year, it's going to be Mike Buck, the third teamer. We won't see much of Marino or Kozar tonight.
Good for the first down of the line of scrimmage is now the Tampa 41-yard line. So in the first 2 minutes of play, Miami comes out blitzing on offense. Ball is tipped, could have been intercepted. Closest man to it was Nickerson, Abdul-Jabbar, the intended receiver. Hardy last year, 143 tackles, which was tops on this team. 4 forced fumbles by Nickerson, and no interceptions. He got an opportunity to get one here in the preseason.
Well, they're force-feeding Jabbar, but they need to get a real good, quick look at this guy and see what he can do right now.
Marino on second down. Got his man. The deep curl at the 29 and to the 28-yard line. O.J. McDuffie, who's been bothered by a hamstring, tackled by Melvin Johnson.
Well, this is a good strategy against a quick defensive line like Tampa's. You kill the pass rush by going to the no huddle. You take short drops, and you send your receivers just into the holes in zones. When you do that, you've got a quarterback like Dan Marino. There's nobody better finding the holes than Jimmy Johnson's quarterback.
See Tampa stunning on defense, and it's right where they ran the football. Inside the 20, inside the 15. Karim Abdul-Jabbar is going to be spotted down after Abraham makes the tackle at about the 12-yard line.
Watch this hole. You noted the blitz, the stunt coming behind it. Just a gaping hole right there, and actually getting a nice block down the field from O.J. McDuffie. The wide receiver's got a little tender ankle.
James Brown, also number 76, with a good block on the play. Jabbar again. Woo, he gets whacked that time.
Well, this will get a defense, and for that matter, an offense, huffing and puffing, getting this no-huddle working early on a nice August night. But you got to be impressed right now from the Miami standpoint with the pads on the pads of the defenders for Tampa, and the Tampa Bay Bucs are getting no penetration on defense.
Scott made that last tackle. Quick out pass, and that one is dropped. Keith Byers, the tight end, is who he was looking for. Brooks with the cover on the play.
That's 2 drop passes so far out of the backfield for the Dolphins, and it's really been so far the only thing that's stopped any of their plays.
Byers, of course, out of Ohio State, famed as a running back there, but as I mentioned, when he went to Philadelphia, played some tight end for the Eagles as well.
There are a lot of tight ends in this league smaller than Keith Byers.
Third down. Line to make is the Tampa 2. Almost intercepted. Abraham, the closest man to it. You can see that Marino talking to the receiver. He wanted him to curl back. He headed the other direction.
Well, whose story do you think they're going to believe? Are they going to believe the young wide receiver, McDuffie, or are they going to believe that guy's story right there? You got to get to the sidelines before Dan Marino, because his argument will win if he gets there first.
Medney, who takes over the kicking chores with Stoyanovich being traded away. This attempt from the 16 and the 26-yard attempt is good. So let's take a timeout. 11:16 left to play in this opening quarter. The Dolphins go on top, 3-0. Tonight out of the opposition from Miami. As you look at Nilo Sylvan, 5'9", 184, and of course out of the University of Tennessee. Sports Illustrated thinks that his former ball club is the #1 college team in the land. We shall see quickly as they play Florida in the first month.
Well, you know, coaches with the record that Sports Illustrated has picking number ones don't last long in this business. What are they, about 1 for 10 in the last decade?
Exactly. Nedby with the kick. It'll be Sylvan, and he'll return it from the goal line. 10, 15, and he stumbled at the 18-yard line, and a flag is down in the play. It's going to be Sean Hill on the special teams.
Well, it's right in that territory of offside.
The coaches love this because they get to do it again and get it on tape.
Offside on the kicking team. Number 23, 5 yards, re-kick.
Well, Ron, we talked about one of the kick return jobs is one of the ones that's going to be up for grabs, and Sylvan's going to get a chance to take another shot at this because the dreaded grass turf monster got him there about the 18-yard line.
He was about to make that cut in toward the sideline. Saw Joe Marciano today and got to visit with him, and we talked special teams. Also had to talk a little bass fishing, which rolls off Joe's lips very easily. So the lineup at the 25. Interesting that after we came away with the meeting today from with Tony and how much he talked about rhythm and getting in sync, and a lot of conversations we've heard from Chuck Knoll.
Well, exactly. A lot of those same catchphrases and catchwords. And, you know, look, we just talked about the kick returner's job being open. Marvin Marshall's back there now. Sylvan had his chance. He hit the unmowed spot there around the 18-yard line. Now Marshall's going to see if he can step over the grass.
Nedby under this one. It's got to be very short on the run. He got by that rough spot all the way out to the 40-yard line. Alvin Harper, Courtney Hawkins, Jackie Harris at tight end with Jerry Ellison, and Mike Alstad out of Purdue gets the start tonight. Up front, Gruber, Pine, Mayberry, Ian Beckles, and Doug Riesenberg at that right tackle spot. 122 starts in a row for the New York Giants. And Trent Dilfer at quarterback tonight. Only 4 touchdowns and 18 interceptions last season. Alstad in motion. First pass is dropped. Armstrong, Gardner, Bowens, and Daniel Stubbs, the down 4. Hollier, Zach Thomas, the rookie out of Texas Tech in the middle, along with Chris Singleton at the right linebacker spot. Terrell Buckley, Calvin Jackson, Lewis Oliver, and Gene Atkins in the secondary. Dilfer's pass this time is caught by Harris.
Well, basically the same kind of pass he threw before that, but it's a little helpful when the quarterback throws a 10-yard pass distance-wise about as hard as he does a 5-yard pass. You have a lot better chance of catching the 10-yarder. Good protection, good form by Dilfer there. And, you know, we talked about consistency. That is the #1 position for the Buccaneers. They need consistency at quarterback. Tight end, they've got one of the best consistent tight ends receiving-wise in the league in Jackie Harris.
You can see Courtney Hawkins also coming to the bottom of your screen, number 85. Dilfer dumps it over the middle. Incomplete is Ellison, the intended receiver. And it'll be kicking time for Tampa. And they did not look in sync on that series right there.
Well, not really. I mean, Trent Dilfer there just looks a little too geeked up, to be honest. Just looks a little bit too excited about it, and it really showed up in passing. When a quarterback is trying to make things happen, you'll see him do one or two things, either sail him or grind him into the ground.
Barnhart gets his kick away from the 35-yard line. Good hanging coverage kick. That is a great job by the special teams as 14 Larry Ryans gets downfield to make the tackle. Timeout on the field with 9:51 left in this opening quarter. Dolphins 3 and the Bucs nothing. We'll be right back. Been out in that thing, buddy.
There was no downtown Tampa about 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Wow.
I couldn't see across the street, much less downtown.
Bernie Kosar comes in at quarterback. Marino leaves 2 of 5, 3 of 5 for 25 yards. Parmalee joins him in the backfield, replacing Abdul-Jabbar. And Parmalee will take it for a couple as he goes across the 15. It's Eric Curry, a 4-year man out of Alabama who's down at the bottom of the stack.
They're still in the hurry-up. We're going to see a lot of stuff from both these teams tonight that they're doing, 1 to practice and 2 to show their next 3 or 4 opponents they actually have it in the playbook.
Did you like this as an offensive lineman?
I hated it. I hated it. We tried it very rarely.
Kosar's pass, wide open, O.J. McDuffie. And McDuffie will have the Miami first down. It's good for 21 yards. Donnie Abraham comes over to make the hit on him.
You know, I always got a kick out of the people when you run this offense say, well, you know, it's a great way to wear down the defense. And yeah, Tampa's defense in the last drive looked a little bit tired towards the end of it with its play after play. But I guarantee you, it wears out the offense just as fast as it does the defense.
From the 32, Kosar quickly right over the middle. Parmalee breaks a tackle out over the 40 to the 45, and that will be a gain of very close to 15 yards. And right now, Tony will be saying on the sideline, our tackling is not crisp.
The tackling isn't crisp, and to be honest with you, they're getting into holes and spots that they have no business being this lonely in those holes and spots. There's nobody to get to them. Got away with a bit of a clip there. Kerry Cash pushing into the back of Hardy Nickerson, but the defense right now does not look sharp for the Bucs.
That pass will go incomplete as again Byers, the intended receiver. I beg your pardon, Kerry Cash.
Well, here's that matchup we talked about, Richmond Webb against Reagan Upshaw. Now, Tony Dungy told kind of a cute story about Upshaw. He says, you know, he comes to the sideline and says, Coach, they're holding me. Tony says, I don't want to hear that. They're going to hold you every play. That's not an excuse in pro football.
Nickerson coming out of middle linebacker blitz. The ball tipped, almost intercepted. Didn't quite get it, but what a nice move by Charles Dimry. And he looked as though there were no ill effects from the ankle on that play.
Not at all. Very important for Charles Dimry to have a strong showing tonight just for his own head. You know, cornerbacks need to have a little something in their tank going into the regular season, something to swagger about, something to talk about. That's a little something right there for Mr. Dimry to talk about during the week.
Good break on the ball. 3rd down for Miami, and to keep this drive going, they need to take it to the Tampa 43. 7:58 left, opening quarter. Dolphins on top, 3-0. Kosar, good heavens, he's going to run.
That was so ugly, you got to wonder what it was rated.
Almost the end of the quarter after that run.
Look at this. Who says, I mean, anybody can run now. Richmond Webb could run with the ball like that. That speaks to another part of the defense you were talking about. The defense fundamentally is not crisp.
Parmalee bounces off one tackle and then takes a shot from Melvin Johnson, the rookie out of Kentucky.
Now, 1, watch the hole. 2, watch the contact with Todd Scott. As a defensive coach and a defensive player, when contact occurs, you want it going back towards the offensive side, not your head going to the turf.
Yep. Johnson, by the way, I said rookie, 2nd-year man taken in the 2nd round last year, a Kentucky Wildcat. Again, they send the middle linebacker. Kosar going for the end zone. Nicely played by Dimry there.
Yeah, that was a nice job by Charles Dimry, because one thing people forget about, when you're a quarterback, you have 2 friends out there, yourself and the sideline. Demery uses his best friend on this play as the sideline. Look at his body, the way he angles towards the sideline, completely cuts off the options of the receiver. That is good defensive football.
Kosar has missed his last 3 attempts. Draw play. Parmalee tries to get outside, looking for help from that umpire again, didn't get enough of it, and it's going to be 4th down.
Got a little flag down, too. It's going to be a takedown, a little hold. This is inside Nedney's distance. He can make a field goal this long. You got to take this.
Number 68 of the offense, 10 yards, repeat 3rd down.
So Andrew Green, second-year guy out of Indiana, gets to hear his name on the PA. I know you love that, Randy.
You know, what really makes you mad is when they're wrong. They were not wrong on that play. An official is going to catch it every time the defensive guy is pointing one way, and the next thing they say is his feet spinning around because you still have his upper body.
3rd down and 14. The ball resting at the 41-yard line. McPhail checks in. They like to throw to him on 3rd down. That pass is caught by McDuffie. Good. Not enough for the 1st down. Now let's see if they do what you're talking about with Nedney. This could be a 46 or 47-yard attempt if, in fact, they go for it.
Well, preseason, you're getting an opportunity to sort of try out your situations, try out your 4th down type offense. I think in a regular season situation, with as much faith as he obviously has getting rid of Stoyanovich, this is within Nedney's zone.
4th down, and they need the 27.5. Parmalee up the middle has the 1st down plus 5. Todd Scott up from the strong safety position, but a nice job of blocking up front.
Well, I tell you, the one place you can't get beat in short yardage is inside. And they don't get beat. They get abused by the Dolphins. The Bucs up the middle get absolutely gashed, and there's no way that should happen. If they're going to get long yardage, they have to do it around the corner, not right up the gut.
That was Keith Sims with the trap block. Kerry Cash makes the catch, bumped out of bounds at about the 16-yard line. Darnell Stevens defensively for Tampa.
You know, if you like Bernie Kosar running, you just absolutely got to love his form as a quarterback. Though, you know, he sets up all cockeyed. He goes back there square shoulder. Doesn't really set up like a quarterback should. All he does is complete passes and be effective.
Parmalee breaks off another tackle and is close to the 10-yard line. Darnell Stevens again.
Right now, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not tackling as a defense. The defensive line up front is getting manhandled, and the defensive backs and linebackers just can't get a hold of these Dolphin backs.
3rd down and short. I don't know. Parmalee, yep, he's going to have the 1st down as he falls inside the 10. Warren Sapp is down at the bottom of that fray.
Well, Tampa's also started to do quite a bit of substituting here these last 2 drives because they are sort of starting to wear down. I mean, this is tough on a defensive line when you're going and going and going. The offensive line's getting tired too, but you can't substitute for them during a drive.
Brooks back in the lineup. Pass right over the middle is dropped by Parmalee. Brooks, the closest man to him.
Yeah, one of the hardest things to do as an athlete is rush the passer. It takes a lot of energy for those guys to rush the passer, and right now they are starting to slow down. And Gary Stevens upstairs is doing some great play calling because as they wear out, he calls runs inside.
Down to the 5-yard line. This is going to be 15 offensive plays for the Dolphins and 3 for Tampa Bay in this first quarter. So we're about to have 3.5 minutes left to play in this opening quarter. And Warren Sapp with his 2nd tackle on this drive.
Remember what we talked about? Consistency, those Chuck Noll catchwords and catchphrases. You're seeing none of the above.
Kosar on 3rd down. Flag is down. That's going to be holding, and he just throws it away. Yep, holding against the Dolphins. Now, the play got strung out, and Bernie was going to underhand that baby if he had to.
You will not see a Bernie Kosar or a Dan Marino hold on to a pass out there in the flat. Because if they're in the pocket, it's one thing. But they're out there in the flat, they can throw it away without any penalty. Plus, they can get rid of it without any penalties on themselves. You see the hold right there.
Well, Billy Billner's from Houston, and he is accustomed to doing a little Texas two-step, so he grabbed on tight. It's Friday night. 3-0 if you just joined us. Just over 3 minutes to play, opening quarter. Nedney with this field goal attempt, 23 yards. Knocks it home. So let's take a timeout. 2:59 to play in this opening period. Dolphins 6, Bucks nothing. Winners Trip Schwig.
Thanks a lot, Ron. Trip, you not only brought home the gold, but you brought home a silver, too. Have you come down from Cloud 9 yet from Atlanta?
Oh, I think definitely. It's been a long time. It's been 3 weeks since the games are over for me. And, you know, the gold and the silver. The silver means a little bit more to me because that was the individual race. But it's still just a great honor to be here tonight.
You're getting married in a little over a month. You make your home in Sarasota. And, I mean, basically, are you as optimistic as every Buccaneer fan right now?
Well, I hope they have a great season, you know. Hopefully they have less injuries than they've had so far. And, you know, I'll always be rooting for the Bucks.
Thanks for stopping by. Let's head to a commercial. The Dolphins lead the Buccaneers 6-zip. We'll come back to Houlihan Stadium after timeout.
Except for the guys that are mad about missing you the first time.
Gardner finally finished him off, but it was Singleton who made that first hit and spun him around. Couple, maybe three. Gardner holding on.
Well, this sets up a tough situation for Tony Dungy and his staff. I mean, you've had 3 passes, you've had 2 runs for about 3 yards. Now you're going to go into this situation. You're going to try to make something happen. Watch for the tight end split out to the right. Jackie Harris can run those short pattern 7-8 yarders very well.
Line to make is the 35. Drop. Now, Courtney Hawkins was there on the comeback, couldn't hold on.
This is a good play, actually, by Dilfer and for Hawkins. Hawkins sees his quarterback's in trouble. He's running back towards him, trying to set it up. And probably would have been a catch if he'd have held on to the ball because he was pushed out of bounds.
Barnhart's kick to O.J. McDuffie at the 32. And he'll take it out across the 40 to around the 44.
Well, let's take the optimist standpoint here, Ron. What we've seen so far out of Tampa's defense is they've held them twice. Long, sustained drives. They've gotten down in the red zone, and they've kept them out of the end zone. Remember we talked last time about that game down in Miami in the opener where Tampa had 200 and something yards. To Miami's 50 or so only led 10-3. That's something Jimmy Johnson had to be pretty happy about. Tony Dungy right now has got one of those good news, bad news. Good news is they haven't scored a touchdown. The bad news is within the 20s, they haven't come close to stopping.
Yep, that's right. 1:13 left to play in this opening quarter. This time it is Spikes. We've seen Jabbar. We've also seen Parmalee in the backfield. And that's who he gets it out to. Spikes bumped out of bounds by John Lynch. Irving Spikes, a free agent coming to the Dolphins in '94 out of Northeast Louisiana. As you look at Lynch, pitcher in the Marlins organization, played his college ball at Stanford, a 3rd-round draft choice in 1993.
Didn't take John Lynch a real long time to figure out which sport was better for him.
Spikes again. Inside the 45 and down around the 41-yard line. You can see Brooks, also Jackson, helping out on the tackle.
Just watch the job the inside of that Dolphins line is doing right now, and they're not doing that with all starters. I mean, they've got Cal Dixon, their third-team center from Florida, fifth-year man, 6'4", 302, and at center, and he's doing a good job inside.
Kosar's pass. Did he hold on? Yes, at the 31-yard line. Hill with the catch. Randall Hill.
Kind of a think and walk there by the side judge. He sort of thought about it as he walked. Watch the possession. Does he have it, and is he in? I would have to say no possession, no catch, but they're giving it to him.
That's the end of the first quarter, so let's take a break. Dolphins 6 and the Bucks nothing. We'll be right back.
Catch. Watch him bobble it. He doesn't have possession as he hits the ground here. He doesn't have it there. Definitely doesn't have it as he rolled out of bounds.
How you doing?
Remember I talked about the thinking and walking? It wasn't quite worth the thought because the thought was wrong. He didn't catch that.
No, this man Kosar in the first quarter, 6 of 11, 66 yards. Total yardage, take a look, 181 to 8.
As E.T. would say, ouch.
Kosar going to go long. Collision on the far sideline. Randall Hill is the man who collided with Abraham. And, of course, the hat went down, which means he's off the field of play. Not eligible.
It was illegal contact down the field as much as he was pushing and shoving on Hill. That should have been a penalty. So I guess that kind of evens things up. It wasn't a catch, but they let that one go.
Second down. Rarely have the Dolphins had a second and long in this first half. Byers. And after the catch, the big fella will rumble for 8, maybe 9 more yards.
Well, the most consistent thing we've seen so far has been bad tackling. Watch here. Byers cuts back inside. Hardy Nickerson, that's very much unlike Hardy. Hardy Nickerson will definitely get some wood on you. He never even touched Byers.
Kosar, pressure on him, got it away. Byers in the flat. Going to be stopped just shy of the 10-yard line, and Donnie Abraham is the guy who's there to put the stopper on him.
Where this defense is tackling right now, Ron, it's almost like you ought to have a little team defense meeting on the sideline and say, we don't start really till next week in the regular season. We do have to play this game and finish it. You can't just mail this in. Right now, the defense is mailing it in.
There's a nice job by Derek Brooks. And that's all it takes is a play like that for everybody to say, hey, okay. So now we're off the snide. That's right.
You can tackle these guys. Derek Brooks, much like the outside linebacker Tony Dungy had in Minnesota, Ed McDaniel. Same height, about 6'6", 6'1", about 240 pounds, that has a constant motor. He will go after you off the field, on the field, in the stand.
Those are 8 of 14, 86 yards. 5-step drop here. Falls down short of the first down as Lynch comes up from the secondary to make the hit on him.
Well, the defense, the big difference last time he had about 15 yards to run. It was in the open field. That time down in the end zone. The defense is not quite as far away. The linebackers fill up, and Lynch and Nickerson make them go down.
How about this? Bernie's got a 10-yard average. 2 carries, 20 yards. They're going to go for it on 4th and short.
call that timeout. They were down to almost 0 on the play clock.
So let's take it with them. 12-19 until halftime. Dolphins 6 and Tampa Bay nothing. The setbacks for the Dolphins.
Well, you got the officials wanting the clock up.
Miami to re-huddle because of confusion with the clock.
The play clock was down about 8 or 9 seconds when Bernie Kosar got to the line of scrimmage, and the clock hadn't even started back. Now they've got the noise to contend with. Follow the fullback.
I don't know. Spikes is close, but Derek Brooks is down underneath there somewhere. This would be a huge lift for this Tampa football team if they get a stop right here.
Well, they've done it twice before in the same territory. Miami's got down inside the 10, and they've stopped them. They've got to get to the 6-yard line. If they didn't get there, no matter how hard they stretch those chains, it's not going to be a first down.
I don't think from here, I don't think he got it. Do you?
Nope. Now, that ball is definitely outside the 6-yard line. You can ask for the measurement if you want, but I think it's just wasting time. Follow the fullback. That's what Spikes does. Look at the job Brooks did inside. Slipping that tackle, got through clean.
When you get the penetration, it's all the difference in the world right there. Tampa football.
Right now, the Tampa defenders are saying, all right, as they high-five the offense, and as they get to the bench, they go, man, I hope they hold on to the ball for a while.
But a big stop defensively by the Bucs defense, and let's see if the offense can now step on and get a little momentum from that.
Well, you look at those first-half stats, leading tacklers. I mean, with all the negatives, 11 first downs to none, all the rushing yards, the 3 leading tacklers were defensive backs for Tampa.
5 yards, 6 and 7. Jerry Ellison cracks his way out very close to the 15-yard line.
Well, this doubles the rushing yardage that the Bucs had in the first quarter. They had 3 yards, got the blocking in the inside, the interior of that offensive line with Mayberry, Payne, and Beckles. That's where all that happened.
Ellison again. And my friends, they have just recorded their initial first down of the night at 11:37 of the first half.
Well, that was just another good job by Jim Pine on a little quick trap inside. This is the type of rhythm they need. Heck, they need this for their defense, because this defense will be taking IVs and be exhausted by halftime, have to stay out on the field the whole time.
Ellison now 4 carries for 15. This time gets cracked at the line of scrimmage. He'll take it forward for a couple, and the ball comes loose, but the officials say, nope, the play was dead at the 22. Lewis Oliver is the man who came up with the stick.
A fumble like that is all judged on the forward progress. You see the progress stop going forward, start going backwards, and that's when the defenders get their arms in there and start stripping the ball. Good job by the officials blowing that whistle and calling it at that point.
The same thing happened in the Minnesota game the other night, and Trace Armstrong wound up with a touchdown for the Dolphins off of it. Dilfer's pass complete. 25 at the 26-yard line. Saunders out of Ohio State, second-year pro. Cedric had a touchdown against Atlanta in that preseason game, but that 16-0 shutout. Third down and short. Clock now under 10 minutes to play in this opening half from the stadium in Tampa. There's another first down as Ellison goes topside. Move those chains again. Now it would be poetic justice if the Bucs took the ball and went about 9 or 10 minutes for the drive and scored.
Well, exactly, and the key to that was just following your fullback. Short yardage goal line. In this case, it was Allstott. Did a very nice job filling in on the middle linebacker, Zach Thomas, the rookie out of Texas Tech, and putting him on the ground.
Fakes it to Thompson. Dilfer goes down. Sacked by Trace Armstrong, the young man I was just talking about who had a preseason touchdown last week.
That's one thing this Miami defense really needs is pass rushers. And they got the pass rush there to Armstrong and this defense off of play action. They got the penetration on the play action and finished off Dilfer.
Good look at Armstrong. Trade from Chicago. Was played at University of Florida. 8-year veteran. Pass well overthrown, and now here comes the flag in, and look at Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy, he doesn't need your help. Believe me, babe. You don't think old JJ disagrees with that one, do you? You know, look at him putting the hand over the head. That's what he's saying. He's saying, could he have caught the ball? Was it a catchable pass? Now watch Hawkins go up.
The pass was uncatchable.
Which is a nice way to say, yes, there was interference, but he couldn't have got at it.
The original of Karim Abdul-Jabbar might not have caught that one. That was pretty tall.
The one that spelled it the other way.
Yeah. So now it is third down. And to keep this drive going, they're going to take the ball out to the 41-yard line. 8:27 until halftime.
3 wide.
This one well overthrown as well. And Harper had his man beaten. Buckley with the cover, but you could see Harper was very upset. He was open at the Miami 45.
Well, Alvin wasn't the Lone Ranger. There were a lot of fans out here that weren't real upset or weren't real happy with that play, and it's hard to really figure out exactly where Trent Dilfer was throwing that ball.
Looked like he threw it off the wrong foot.
Well, it was nowhere near that. It was near Harper, and it was way too short for the other receiver, Hawkins.
McDuffie breaks the tackle, and he'll take it to the 43. The ball came loose, and let's see if they say it was dead. Yes.
Calling him down.
Calling him down at the 44. Kenneth Gant makes the play. There's a break in the action. 8:06 until halftime. Dolphins continue to lead 6-0.
Hey, with Rich McKay, how did that go?
Well, we didn't get anything accomplished, unfortunately. We're working hard. The season's about to start. Eric's not going to be there. And this team looks pretty mediocre right now. They need number 32 back in there very badly, in my opinion.
Drew, the way things situate, you guys want to have more money up front. Is that the big stumbling block right now?
Well, we've moved off of the one-year deal at this time, and we're focusing on, actually, we want a one-year deal. We're not looking for the long-term contract any longer. On a one-year deal, we take anywhere from between, I'd say in the neighborhood of $2 million. Forget the upfront money. Just give it to them in the base salary. We'll be happy.
Does Reggie Brooks in this lineup hurt your client?
Not at all. If Eric Red is concerned by a guy who was released, we look at that as a great situation. The Bucs obviously aren't happy with the guys that they have. They have to pick a guy up off the street. They need Eric Red in there. Eric Red should be signed. I'm going to continue to meet with Rich McKay until we get it done.
You think he'll be in a Buccaneer uniform at some point this year?
He should be. Right now, it's doubtful.
All right, Drew Rosenhaus has 20 players on the field right now. He wishes he had 21. Ron, up to you.
Okay, thanks so much, Pat. That was John Lynch, who came up, and like he used to do on the farm out at Stanford, he came up and necktied him.
Is it me, or after you hear an agent talk, do you usually want to go take a shower and clean off?
A good number of them. A good number of them.
Oh, man.
Mike Buck is the quarterback, the 5-year man out of Maine, 6'5", 227 pounds. Again from the shotgun, and that pass is overthrown. Charlie Jordan is the man that they were looking for.
You know, and contrary to how mediocre Mr. Rosenhaus might think the Tampa Bay offense is right now, the main problem they have is his client, Eric Rett, can't play quarterback worth a darn either. And right now, Trent Dilfer can't play quarterback worth a darn. That is the main problem. They've got the linemen right now. They've got some backs that can run with it, but their quarterback is not doing much.
John Kidd with his first punt of the night. Nilo Silman at the 10. He's gone. 90 yards. Nilo Silva.
You might be looking at a new Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
They're going to say officially 91 yards. It was a 45-yard punt.
And this is a little bit of blocking and a whole lot of want to. You got to want to break that tackle. You got to want to not go down there. You don't. You'd ignore the kicker. And now, to be honest with you, you just hope that God you don't catch a cramp or pull a muscle because you know you're going for 6 points.
Right now, Tony Dungy is loving the sound of old Rocky Top. Nilo Silva, the former Tennessee Volunteer, takes it 91 yards for the touchdown. Hustad to attempt the extra point and try to put the Bucs up by 1.
That's the longest return in Bucs preseason history. Danny Reese had one for 73 yards in 1978. And I guess if you're going to break the record, kind of like Michael Johnson in the Olympics, you're going to break it, you might as well shatter it.
Nilo has that football tucked away on the sideline. 6:44 left until halftime, and this stadium came alive when Sylvan took that punt. As Randy said, not only a nice job of blocking, but a lot of want-to on that thing as well.
Well, I tell you what, if I was Nilo Sylvan and I had that ball cradled in my arms, I would get myself one of them Sharpie markers and take it over to Tony Dungy and say, can you sign congratulations for making the Bucs on this for me?
Well, that's what happened with Izzo, wasn't it, with Jimmy Johnson?
Exactly.
Extra point is good. So let's take a timeout. Bucs go on top 7-6 with 6:44 left until the intermission. We'll be right back. You know, regardless of what they did or did not do, the biggest point that has to be made is the point that you made. The effort by Sylvan certainly has to be recognized and rewarded.
Oh, exactly. But, you know, it's a great highlight for Tampa. Let's not lose track of the fact that offensively they haven't done much, and defensively they've been worn down.
This is McPhail, and now here comes in a late flag.
Well, we had a little WWF full-body takedown over here on the sideline. You can tell the guy that was holding was doing the talking. He said that was a knockout.
Holding.
No, I don't think so.
On the return, 10 yards, end of the run, first down.
And you got to forgive Irving Spikes. He was holding. And one thing none of the Dolphins could do here really quite is hold on to Silva. And once he gets to this point, it is forget it. Look at it. They're pointing the way down the sideline, just in case he loses direction. Got to feel good for this young man. He had a long punt return call back a couple of weeks ago against Atlanta by a penalty, and he finally gets one without any flags.
Emery did a good job of avoiding the clip on that play. Spikes out over the 45 to the 48-yard line.
Well, a little poetic justice here. Spikes was called for the hold on the kickoff return, and he makes it about 15, 20 yards down the field before anybody in white can get a hold on him. Little turnaround. And more poor tackling and defensive play in the middle of that defense.
Prior to that play, total yardage 205 Miami, 33 for Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay in returns 3 for 133 yards. Spikes again.
I'll tell you the real killer right now for the Tampa Bay defense is the way they're being run on. 3 weeks ago when they played them in the opener, no big deal. They couldn't get the running game going against this defense, and right now they are absolutely dominating them up front.
That was Jason Manecki who made the stop. Young man out of Wisconsin. He played here a couple of years ago in the Outback Bowl as his club came down here and whipped Duke. Mike Shula on the right in that picture up in the coach's box upstairs. But well off the mark, and now here comes a late flag in. Lamar Thomas was the intended receiver. Could be Tyrone Leggett.
Pass interference. Number 45 on the defense. First down.
You know, sometimes you say there's bad penalties and there's good penalties. And sometimes for a defensive back, grabbing on to a wide receiver who's about to run by you can be qualified as nothing but a good penalty.
That's right. And when he was at Nebraska, it only cost you 15 yards. In this league, it's a little worse than that.
Well, when he was in Nebraska, they looked at that thing like it was the obelisk from 2001 when they saw a ball in the air.
Spikes, good reversal of field. Darnell Stevens, after he had been posted by John Lynch, almost took his headgear off. But the Dolphins moving now inside the 25, and we're about to go into 4:40 to play.
I'll tell you what, folks, this is not a bad Miami defensive line. And this is a very adequate group of running backs for the Miami Dolphins. You're seeing a bad performance by the front seven of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here in the first half. They are being manhandled by a pretty average group of offensive players.
Spikes now 7 carries, and he's got 50 yards. Spikes again, a little counter tray this time. And he cut inside the guard who was still trying to get out and make the hit.
There's John Lynch in the bottom of that pile, mixing it up a little bit with Charles Jordan, the wide receiver. Lynch is going to get a long look tonight. Tony Dungy really interested to see what this guy can offer him here at 96. He injured the ribs, looked good early in the preseason, injured the ribs a couple weeks ago, hasn't done much in the preseason.
Second down. Miami needs the 12.5-yard line to pick up the first. Same play. Big opening, and he'll have the first down plus about 6 more yards. Tony Bowie comes up to make the tackle.
You know, it tells you a little something about how tight a control Jimmy Johnson wants to this football team when he's got an offense grinding out the ball, shoving a ball down a defense's throat, but he takes the time on the sideline to chew out Charles Jordan there, number 88, for fighting with John Lynch.
Well, it's a drive killer.
Well, you know, he's my way or the highway.
Yes.
And if I was Charles Jordan, I'd just say yes, sir, or look for a new job.
couple of yards, and then Spikes gets driven back. Ioka Jackson, one of the first men to come there, and also Darnell Stevens. Darnell has been putting some good lumber around tonight.
Well, remember who these two teams open up with. Tampa Bay gets Green Bay here next Sunday. Miami opens up with New England. And if they think that this running game can work like this against the Patriots, they can make things very miserable for the offensive side with Bledsoe and whatnot.
Second and goal, about to go to the 2-minute warning. Nothing. Demetrius DuBose makes the stick on Spikes, and there's a timeout with 1:56 left until halftime, and the Bucs leading 7-6. We'll be right back. Just a couple of moments ago, and he was squaring off with John Lynch, and his head coach came over and said, I don't want you as a pugilist, I want you as a wide receiver. And next week he might not want him at all.
But it does him absolutely no good to cost his team yards or to get in his coach's face in the last preseason game. All that does is make your career a little bit questionable.
Caught out of the end zone. Lamar Thomas came down with it, but he couldn't gain possession in the back of the end zone, and Leggett was trying to cover on him.
Well, it's a good zone defense. They completely shut off all inside routes for the wide receivers, and they'll let you catch those all day long if you're 3-4 yards out. I mean, if you want to play Canadian down here, they'll let you do that all you want.
Medney to attempt the field goal. He already has a couple. The longest 26, the other one was 23 yards. And make it 3 of 3. So we'll hold it right here with 1:45 left until intermission. And the great thing for Tony Dungy's club right now, they get to work on a 2-minute drill.
They really do, and it's something that this team needs some work on. In their division, with all the passing that goes on in that NFC Central, you better have a good 2-minute offense, because a lot of your games are going to come down to the end of the half and the end of a game.
Randy, also talk about something that's very important as far as rehearsing in preseason, because next week it starts for real, and for those who haven't done it, it's a very short halftime in the National Football League, and you have to get in, get your ouches taken care of, get with your individual coaches, and then get ready to come back.
And the young people won't believe the difference. You know, the Reagan Upshaws and the Mike Allstotts and whatnot will not believe the difference in the velocity and the intensity from this week to next week. If they think they've really made the NFL playing NFL football, they're in for a rude shock starting next week, because not only is the speed on the field faster, but like you say, everything happens like now. Bang, 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 bang. There's very, very little time for real reaction time or decision time.
Well, as you can see, Casey Weldon snapping up the headgear, and the former Florida State star will come on to direct this attack for the final 1:45 of the opening half. Total yards in the first almost half, 246 to 33. So Weldon will have the ball at the 26-yard line. And it was Ellison who made the return.
You know, Ron, I guess you could say that a punt return or a kickoff return is kind of like offensive football. And if you give the offense credit for that return as part of the offense, well, isn't it kind of like putting earrings on a pig? The earrings might be good looking, but the pig's still a pig and not very good looking. And right now, this offense is not very good looking.
That's a very good analysis. Weldon connects on his first attempt out to the 32, the 33-yard line. Allstott makes the catch, and Zach Thomas makes the tackle on him.
Plenty of time here. No reason to rush.
complete at the 43-yard line. Marshall.
Somebody had a little bit too good a grasp of their technique inside on the offensive line.
Illegal use of the hands. Number 74, the offense. 10 yards. Still second down.
I was about to make the point as Gruber is flagged for the violation that Stubbs and Armstrongs and Gardner have done a good job on the outside for the Dolphins tonight.
And right there, Gruber gets that hand right up into the face. You know, what they've done really is they've managed to get pressure and close down the outside. These quarterbacks have really had nowhere to go. And if they try to step up, the tackles are right there.
That's right. They have really squeezed it in.
And Stubbs is a great story, too. A guy that's been around. He's finally back playing for his University of Miami coach, Johnson.
Screen to the 30. Now the 30. Turner. Take it to the 40.
Well, there's no comparison between the poise and the execution of Trent Dilfer and Casey Weldon tonight. Granted, it's one preseason game, but this Casey Weldon looks very sharp right now. And really, there's no quarterback controversy here. Trent Dilfer is going to be the starter. But I don't look for Tony Dungy to have a real slow trigger finger on pulling the hook on Trent Dilfer if it starts meaning costing him football games. Egos don't get in the way of paychecks.
And that's a decision that man will have to make. But as Randy said, actually, I mean, there is no beef over the starting quarterback situation. It is Dilfer. But if he has this kind of first half against Green Bay next week, I think probably you would see number 11 in the ball game.
You know, Tony Dungy will treat everything as coolly as he has treated this whole Eric Rhett thing. You know, it's basically, hey, Eric's not here. We're not going to go with him. If he can't help us, I really don't want to deal with it. Much the same. If a player can't help Tony Dungy, he can't say, okay, I'm going to let him go and keep going like this. He can't afford to keep losing.
Weldon just underthrown. Boy, he was close. I was afraid he was going to be across the line of scrimmage. Marshall is the guy that he wanted. Crowd wanted him to run, but Casey's smart enough to know that wouldn't do any good.
Well, his body isn't over the line of scrimmage, but I'm not sure if the ball is. You see him start hesitating, shuffling right about here. He knows where he is.
Oh, he got it away before he got to that line.
That was pretty close.
It's kind of like the long jump. Did he foul? No. 21 seconds left. Weldon's pass overthrown. Marshall again, the man that he wanted. Casey 3 of 5 for 24 yards. 16 seconds left until halftime, and it's 3rd and 10. Overthrows this one. He was looking for Carl Williams. And Casey really upset with himself as that one got away from him.
Well, he should. The last couple balls have really sailed off on him. And, you know, I don't care. You were talking about the whole thing with Drew Rosenhaus and Eric Rhett and the offense not looking very good. You know, earlier the comment was made. I mean, it really doesn't matter. You could have Emmitt Smith in this backfield. If you're not getting the blocking and your quarterbacks aren't playing, it doesn't matter what running back you are.
Scott Miller is the deep man, and he's just going to run away from it with 3 seconds. Now 2 seconds, and that will roll dead. Tracy Johnson down there to down it. Dolphins 9 and the Bucs 7. We'll be back with stats and highlights after this. This is Buccaneer preseason football on WTOG UPN 44 Sports.
Turner job, he said, not yet. Marvin Marshall has a chance to break one in the second half. Ron?
Good heavens, Nut. Does this mean Marshall's got to do 92 yards?
Guy's a tougher critic than a TV sports critic.
Well, Marshall gets his opportunity. His show is about to go on here. Nedney to kick it away.
Trent Dilfer will open up, get a chance to see what he looks like coming out after cooling off at the half.
Marshall 2 yards deep. And nice open field tackle as he is caught shy of the 20-yard line by Sean Wooden. So let's see what Trent Dilfer can come up with here to open this second half of play. His numbers 2 of 7 for 11 yards. And he was sacked 1 time.
You know, Trent Dilfer's quite a golfer. And I guess the golf analogy would be some days you hit it great, other days you don't know where it's going. Right now, he doesn't know where it's going.
Leroy Thompson, the ball carrier. He gets whacked down hard at the line of scrimmage. Darrell Gardner out of Baylor, styling a little bit after making the stop.
Either that or somebody stomped on his foot pretty hard.
First round draft choice out of Baylor.
One of those who draft choices. Jimmy Johnson came up with that guy in the first round. Everybody looked at each other and said, who?
Again, Thompson. And not very much there, and it's going to be a third down situation. On third down, Dilfer got his man. Marshall at the 32, maybe the 33-yard line. Hawkins, I beg your pardon.
And Trent Dilfer finally found the fairway. Needed to hit one down the middle right there.
And it was a 3-wood. He didn't use a driver's seat. A little safer shot.
The key there really is nobody's in his face. He gets good pass protection from Adams and Odom on that left side. No one got in his face. He stepped forward, and it was a nice pass.
Now it would appear that it would be Miami because that back can reset.
It's amazing. If Trent Dilfer goes in and wants to get his input to the officials, they kind of look at him and say, go away. He's a young guy, hasn't been around long.
Start a snap. We have a neutral zone infraction on the defense. Number 93, 5 yards, still first down.
Trace Armstrong offsides there. Now, Dan Marino goes up to the officials trying to decide what a penalty is. They actually want his input. I mean, they got a lot of respect for him. For a guy that hasn't been around long, he's like, get out of my face. Got no time for you.
That's true in every sport, though. You know, Joe Morgan could take that inside strike 3-2 pitch, and it was a ball four every time. I'm not going to name some of the guys that couldn't take that pitch, but you know who they are. First down and 5. New line of scrimmage out at the 37. Thompson again. Hammered it straight up inside. Aaron Jones this time comes up to make the tackle. Free agent out of New England. Played his college football at Eastern Kentucky.
And in case you haven't figured it out, Tony Dungy and his staff are going to run the ball. Regardless of the outcome, they are going to run the ball.
Thompson, ball is still loose. Dilfer can't hold on, and that ball is alive. Robert Bailey wound up with it. And if there are no flags, it is Miami ball inside the 10.
There are a lot of ways Tony Dungy wanted this second half to start, with a nice, long, consistent drive, with a lot of positive outcome. That is far from being a positive outcome. That's darn near a fractured flicker, because no one can find the handle until Bailey at the end handles that one like it's no problem. The first 8 guys couldn't lasso that thing.
Courtney Hawkins saved the touchdown as he came back to make the tackle. It's 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. Just overthrown. Looked as though he reached for his flag for a second, but it will not be thrown. Pritchett out of the backfield is the man that he was looking for.
And Miami's going to take an extended look at Buck, number 7, Mike Buck, their quarterback, because they want to find out if this guy can play. They were either going to keep him at backup quarterback or even bring McGuire back, who they released last week. So this is this young man's chance to really show he belongs in the league. He's played with New Orleans, but never got very many shots there either.
Jabbar at the 5-yard line. You can see 47 John Lynch getting off the bottom of the pile. Also Tony Bowie, number 23.
Now watch the fill and the scrape by the linebackers. That is the key. There's nowhere for the runner to go. The defensive line does a good job of bottling things up, and the linebackers stuff it. Jabbar actually 5 for 39, doesn't have the lion's share of the damage. Everybody's sort of gotten their shot, gotten their chance against this defense.
Buck right up in the middle. Hit him right in the hands. Looks as though Sapp injured, and the Dolphins have a player down. And that's Pritchett at the goal line.
When the Dolphins get down in this part of the field, it really screams out how much they're missing a tight end. They do not have a tight end, and in this offense, you got to have it. It works to the Bucs' advantage.
Over talking to his quarterback, Mike Buck. He was talking about Buck and the fact he didn't get much of an opportunity to play down in New Orleans. Not many folks from his school, the Maine Black Bears, have made it in the National Football League, particularly a quarterback.
A couple in the NHL with their background with the hockey program there at Maine, but not a whole lot of football players.
Hey, Ned Mead tries to knock home a 22-yarder, and he's got it. So we'll take a timeout. 10 minutes and 53 seconds left, third quarter. And the Dolphins on top, all off this management tax referendum. Your county, your choice will air September the 2nd at 6 in the morning. And again later that night, immediately following 44 News at 10. Nano Sylvan is back deep. He's got a 91-yard punt return. Let's see if he can do same with kickoff. Well, they brought it back into that same boundary, but not the same results as Sean Wooden with his second tackle on the special teams. 17 yards on that return. (16-4).
Looks like a Little League World Series score. They've been trying to crunch this run, but I think just for Trent Dilfer's head and his sake, they've got to start trying to throw this ball and pad up these passing numbers.
Faked it to Thompson, going to go up on top, and he's got a man down there, just a bit overthrown. He was looking for Larry Ryans. Larry, a speedster who also ran track at Clemson, third-year pro. J.B. Brown had the cover for the Dolphins.
There's very few receivers in the NFL that have got more leg than these quarterbacks nowadays have arms. And it's so vital for these guys to be able to throw that long pass. Jeff Blake throws that long ball for the Bengals better than anybody in the league because he drops that thing straight down out of the air, makes the receiver run underneath it.
Thompson across the 20, maybe the 22-yard line. And boy, all receivers will tell you just that, Randy. That's what's fun. And throw it up there and drop it and let me run under it and catch it.
Right, exactly. And that requires excellent timing, excellent touch. You see Mike Shula on the right there without the hat. The offensive coordinator here for the Tampa Bay Bucs has got to be a little concerned with the work so far tonight of his quarterback. Now he's got to be a lot of concern. let's not sugarcoat it.
Looking pass, got it for the first down at the 31-yard line. Marvin Marshall in traffic comes down with a check it. It's 85 Courtney Hawkins.
You know, probably the most concerning thing about the offense so far, the performance, is this is not a real good Miami defense. It's a very average Miami defense they're playing against. And so far, Trent Dilfer in this offense can't play dead.
Reggie Brooks. Flag is down at the 30. He picked up a couple on the play.
It's going to be a hold against Tracy Johnson, the fullback.
Holding. Offense. Number 43. 10 yards. Repeat first down.
Well, we know one thing for sure. You see, Johnson is called for the hold. That as long as number 41's in the ballgame, they're not going to be throwing it because his head coach said today he doesn't know any pass plays. He knows about 5 or 6 running plays.
Yep. Reggie Brooks is in the game. When he gets in there, he'll be in there to run the ball.
Marshall was the closest man to it. The safety valve was Thompson, and he got tripped up as he came through the middle.
Now what you have to watch here, and a little misleading, is where he throws it and where his receiver is. I'll tell you one place he threw it where nobody could get at it, which is a good idea because he throws it anywhere near his receiver, and it might be 6 the other way.
Trent Dilfer's numbers 4 of 11, 34 yards. Well, Marvin's just not that tall. He may be a couple inches taller after stretching out here tonight.
Well, I guess there's all sorts of analogy you could draw here about being able to overthrow countries and overthrow rulers and everything else, because he sure as heck overthrowing receivers.
Yard line, but well short of the first down, and they'll have to kick it away again. J.B. Brown defensively.
Excellent play by Brown, too. Broke all the way through that screen, because that screen was very well set up by the left side of the Bucs line.
Barnhart to punt. Scott Miller again. And Miller knocked out of bounds at the 36-yard line defensively, or in the special teams. Melvin Johnson is there to make the stop. 8:01 to play, third quarter. Dolphins 12 and the Bucs 7. We're going to take a break.
Our experience at Walker.
2 of 5, 23 yards for him.
But when you're running the ball the way the Dolphins were in the first half, you don't need to have a quarterback going crazy. And don't be fooled about him still having those shoulder pads on either. He's not there because he might go back in. He's wearing those in case somebody runs into him.
Miami total yardage 267 and Tampa Bay 85. Buck swings it out. Karim Abdul-Jabbar is going to wind up with a gain of about 4.
Not much pressure up front on Buck, but watch the tackle. Right here. Little team tackle, and John Lynch got the better part of that team.
John knows how to explode into a ball carrier, doesn't he?
He really does. I mean, he did it at Stanford. He just loves to go out and hit people, and he's 6'2", about 210.
Pritchett this time. It'll be third down, and they need the 46-yard line to pick up the first. Good look at Randall Hill as he comes back into the huddle.
Great opportunity here. Stunts and games up front, but you have to get the interior pressure on Buck. And interior pressure for Tampa Bay means Warren Sapp or someone for the defensive tackle position.
Buck's pass complete. Keith Byers will have the first down +5.
Byers lined up in the slot right there. Little push off. Little slip there. Look at inside. The strip out. Gooch was a linebacker that slipped out of the way and fell down. Darrell Stevens came from the backside, 54, and caused that fumble.
By the way, we got a report. We mentioned that Warren Sapp was injured and he is having his right leg x-rayed. We'll try to get a report. Maybe Pat can come up with something down on the sideline. Jabbar goes inside the 45 to around the 43. Stevens down on the bottom of the stack, one of the first men there to make the hit.
Hey, you talk about a guy that's absolutely vital to a coach and his team and what he plans on doing. You know, this type of running performance Miami's putting on the Tampa Bay defense can really bruise egos and make you feel bad. The last thing you need is to lose a defender like a Warren Sapp. You got to pray and hope that it's not something serious from the Tampa Bay standpoint, because he is a large part of this defense.
Yeah, that is exactly right. About to go under 5 minutes, third quarter. Dolphins still leading 12-7. And Jabbar, boy, he's still going. Good second effort. He will have the first down because of that second effort and takes it to the 37-yard line.
This is the kind of running Jimmy Johnson's looking to get out of Karim Abdul-Jabbar. And this is the kind of want to. I talked about want to with Nilo Sylvan. Running back show want to. Sometimes the running back shows too much want to and gets stripped of the ball. You saw that happen to Miami Irving Spikes the other night on Monday Night Football. Jabbar does a great job of protecting the ball and going for the extra yards.
Jabbar now 7 carries, 51 yards. Buck's pass in the flat. The receiver fell down. Not much you could do. And when you understand that Pat Boyle has an update on Warren Sapp, Pat, what have you got for us?
Well, Ron, I just talked to Dr. Carson, the Buccaneers doctor, and he said the x-rays came back negative on Warren Sapp's right leg. It's just bruised, and he should be okay. Back up to you.
Pat, is he going to play any more tonight, or did the doctor say?
I don't think so, but you never know. They may want to get another look at him.
Okay. The other guy, of course, Saunders, will not play anymore tonight. There's a look at Warren on the sideline. Well, offensive coaches are upset. First time they've shown that little shuffle pass tonight, and it was called down because of...
Prior to the snap, false start, number 68, the offense, 5 yards, repeat second down.
Because Andrew McGee came out of a stance too quickly.
That is not a happy camper right there. Tony Dungy does not show a lot of emotion when things are going real good, as they did in the first 2 preseason games, but the arms folded, and it doesn't take a real body language expert to tell you that guy is not pleased with what he sees, especially out of his defense.
Buck steps up, going to go long, and intercepted. Tony Bowie will take it back to the 20-yard line. Now that should bring a change of expression on that fellow we were just looking at.
Well, that's the first interception
That's right.
by a Buck defender so far this preseason. So, I mean, Tony's a guy that's used to seeing turnovers come in buckets, and so far it's been in drops.
4:12 left, third quarter. Bucks have it back. They're down 12-7.
This guy knows in the offense, but we now know one. You pitch it right, you follow your block. Reggie's got that one down. That's the kind of back he is, though. He is a quick, slashing, hitting runner.
14 yards in the play. Tell you, there were a couple of good blocks out there also, particularly the wide receiver. This time to the left. Puts the head down. Reggie will take it close to the 40. Going to be a gain of 5. And defensively, J.B. Brown again.
Not great blocking on that play right there. Reggie Brooks pretty much made the yards on that play all by himself. And
good hand from this crowd as he comes out.
you think it's a pass? He's coming out.
They just tipped their hand. 2 carries, 20 yards for him. Nope, they got to keep it on the ground. Look at Thompson. Leroy gets outside into Miami territory and at the 47-yard line.
Yeah, we're not the only ones following trends. Obviously, the Miami defense was thinking run right there, and so far, a good performance out of the running back. The offensive line, the first play, had nice blocks. Watch the left side of the line. Jason Odom's number 70, the left tackle, was a little dinged up on that last play, but Tracy Johnson gets kind of a screen you out, excuse me block on the outside linebacker, but it was all Thompson needed to get around that corner.
Thompson's numbers now, 20 yards and 5 carries. This one not so fortunate, as he will get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe. Nope, in fact, they're going to say he will lose a yard on the play. Robert Bailey defensively along Jones as well.
I don't know about you, but I'd love to see Brooks a little bit more. I mean, I've always liked this guy. This guy had 1,000 yards a couple years ago, decided to pull a holdout and wanting more money, but at the same time, North Turner and his group came into Washington and really got off on the wrong foot with that whole staff.
Alstott in the ball game. That pass underthrown. Carl Williams, the intended receiver. And again, J.B. Brown, who's been a busy guy in this second half defensively.
Didn't Carl Williams fight Muhammad Ali down the Astrodome in the 60s?
The truth, yes.
Yeah.
Third down and 10. The ball at the Miami 47-yard line. This has been an outstanding drive, but they got to take it to the 37 or it's said and done. Incomplete and very nearly intercepted. Cutting in front was Sean Hill.
Well, the highlights so far the second quarter are the 2 runs by Reggie Brooks. Because in the second half, because so far in the second half, it's been pretty much same old Bucs offense.
Scott Miller is back deep to receive the Tommy Barnhart punt. 1:45 to play, third period. Good coverage kick here. Fair catch called for and made at the 14. $1:36 to play, third quarter. Dolphins continue to lead. We'll be right back.
Presenting blockbuster video value packs, starring movies your favorite.
Thomas. That combination has met many times in the college ranks between Miami and Florida State.
Not much love lost between those two.
Oh, done a few of those. I don't know what's more fun to watch, the stands or the field. Mike Buck hit, and he is sacked. First time that they've gotten to him tonight. Jeff Gooch from his linebacking spot comes in to make the tackle.
Well, Tony Dungy unveils a little bit of that zone blitz. The key of a zone blitz, you're dropping a defensive lineman, in this case Upshaw in coverage, and you're bringing a linebacker or a defensive back from the backside. And watch Gooch come from the outside. He comes as Reagan Upshaw drops, and there's nobody to account for him.
That's us too. At the end of the third quarter. So there's a timeout on the field, and as we head to the final 15 minutes of play here at the stadium on this Friday night, it is Miami 12 and Tampa Bay. The kind of runner he was at UCLA. Hard runner, get behind the big offensive lineman, and in second effort, keep sliding.
And Jimmy would like to see him develop into a back that just wants the ball. Give me the ball, give me the ball. And realistically, he can take 25, 30 carries a game because they have to do that in Miami. There got to be a 50-50 team. Dan Marino would not mind that. In fact, he'd love to have a guy that could run like this.
Kid's kick is off the side of his foot. Marshall was hoping he'd get an opportunity to return, but he's not going to. But the Bucs will take over with a good field position just across the 50. Bowie and Spikes continuing to talk after the special teams play. And Casey Weldon comes on.
Well, you'd say that they need a spark offensively, but I think right now they need one of these Jimmy Johnson blowtorches on this offense for Tampa. Something just to get their attention and light them up, and they're hoping Casey Weldon to be the guy to do it right now because neither quarterback has looked very sharp this evening.
Got a shot of Billy Lewis, who has come on with the Jimmy Johnson staff, one of the really nice guys in coaching. Was the head coach at Georgia Tech for a time. Alstott. He gets submarined at the line of scrimmage and will wind up with a gain of 1. That was Entman who got down underneath and made the stop on him.
Edmonds, another good comeback story. Trying to make this team. He's one of the 3 or 4 defensive tackles they're going to keep on this football team, much along the lines of another great, former great number 1 pick, Tony Mandrich in Indianapolis. Looks like he's going to make that football team. So a couple of guys with questionable starts and careers making a comeback.
Ellison in at tailback. Weldon's pass just a little too far. They were looking for Carl Williams. So now with that very short run by Alstott and the incomplete pass, it is a third down. And Tampa needs the 40.5-yard line.
Well, this is an offensive lineman's nightmare. You see the conversions there, 2 of 9 so far. And how many of those have been third and 8, third and 9, third and 10? You know they're coming. They know you're passing. It can get ugly.
Weldon, incomplete. He wanted Ryans, but Hill almost came away with the football.
John Hill, the third-year man out of Montana, did a very nice job of sticking with him the entire way. In fact, almost such a good job of sticking with him. Watch the very end here. We've got a little extracurricular contact. Not interference, just because they didn't throw the flag.
This is the 7th punt of the night. Miller back to the 24. John Lynch on the special teams. He's done a little bit of everything tonight. 13:54 to play in the ball game. Miami 12 at Tampa Bay 7.
Look at Herman Edwards, the assistant head coach and defensive back coach. He's the guy that adds the fire for Tony Dungy on that defense. And he's got a guy tonight that's been playing like crazy. John Lynch, he's got to be happy with what he's done so far.
Pressure on Buck, and he will be sacked. Number 90, Manecki. Jason Manecki out of Wisconsin.
Something the Bucs haven't gotten much of in this game, that's been penetration. Good penetration up front from the defensive line of the Bucs, and especially up front in the person of Herman Smith, 91, coming off that corner. But take a look at what John Lynch has done. That's defense and special teams, but 9 tackles is a nice bit of getting themselves some regular season playing time, an extended version of it, too.
Look at that, 2nd down and 9, so he wound up picking up 1 yard on the play. And after that hit, I'm not sure if Austin has any idea where he is. Wow.
Well, there's a good sign there, though, Ron. He did go back to the right huddle.
Well, this is Robert Wilson, who's trying to make the team out of Texas A&M.
Hey.
Boy, those legs really, really went limp. A former Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah. You all right? I'm fine. I'm fine. No problem. Yeah, exactly. Right now he thinks he's still back at Jackson State.
Hill is the man that he was looking for on that play. 12 minutes, 32 seconds left to play in this one at the final dress rehearsal for 1996. And next week it is Green Bay for Tampa Bay.
Ron, this is a tape I don't think anybody's going to watch. I don't think if I'm Tony Dungy and this staff, I let my guys watch this tape at all, offensive or defensively. I might let Nyla watch his return. And if I'm Mike Holmgren of the Packers, I wouldn't let my guys watch it either because they might get too pumped up and overconfident.
Sylvan from the 31. I'll tell you, that's a quick first step, and he does not mess around.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Herman Marshall has to do a lot in this last quarter. I think this Nilo Sylvan has made himself a football team. That guy can hit a hole.
There's a timeout. We'll take it with him.
Well, let's see. Watch his feet. Remember, this is a young man that last year was playing at Texas A&M Kingsville. 1 foot was good enough, and he didn't have either one in on this one. Good catch, though.
Start to say, even as a javelina, that one would not have. Even as a javelina, that one would not have counted. Neither foot was inbound. It's 6 incompletions in a row for Casey Weldon. Reggie Brooks back in the ball game, so we know it's not a pass play. And he will take it for a couple. C-75, Shane Burton stepping up into the hole to make the hit.
What you see here, just a little counter step, and Reggie Brooks not getting much in the way of blocks, making something out of nothing.
Vernon Turner comes into the lineup, and of course on 3rd down they like to get the football to him if they can. Casey gets the pass to him, but going to be tackled at the 45 and 2 yards short. Michael Stewart is there to make the hit, and Weldon says let's go for it.
And Tony Dungy says, come on back over here and stand next to me and watch the punter kick it.
8th punt of the ball game now.
Of course, don't rule out. Remember, they have faked a punt before.
That's right.
Faking punts, faking kicks. Great time in the preseason to show things like that.
Miller with the fair catch at the 15-yard line. Dolphins 12, Tampa Bay 7. 10 minutes, 49 seconds left in this final preseason game. He really reacted. I mean, his knees just went limp after he made that hit on Wilson.
He wants to know right now, how come Jackson State's playing in this great big stadium?
McPhail at again. Tony Boyles, a bully, I should say, comes up and makes the stick on him. In fact, you see him rotating that right arm a little bit. You could hear that hit up here.
Well, that's what a safety's going to get, a little bit of a stinger every once in a while, but we've seen John Lynch do it. We've seen Bowie with his interception, and that is some good wood there. That's all of it.
Yeah, that secondary he played with at Arizona, all four of them were much like that. That's underthrown. Wilson, the man he was looking for.
Oh, Tony Bowie played on that Desert Swarm team.
Yeah, he did.
Arizona Wildcats. Got a chance to see Teddy Bruschi last week.
He's handling the linebacker position pretty well, isn't he?
Well, he's basically playing what he played at Arizona. I mean, he had his hand on the ground more often, but, I mean, in that situation, he's not going to be covering many people, and that's sort of that elephant defensive end so many teams use now.
My biggest surprise is not his playing ability, but his haircut. Marshall loses the ball. Still loose at the 20. Zach Thomas came up with the football. And it is first down for the Miami Dolphins. They will spot it at the 20-yard line where the turnover occurred, or where he lost possession.
Well, that rookie linebacker, Zach Thomas, is one of those guys computer spits out. Too short, not quite fast enough. But you know all number 54 does, really, is manage somehow, some way to make tackles and always be around the football. That's why he's starting at middle linebacker right now for Jimmy Johnson's Dolphins.
I've lived in Texas for 26 years, and Zach, you couldn't say it any better. You're just one of those kids that found a way. 2 years ago, Texas A&M should have been undefeated. He intercepts a pass of all people and runs it back for a touchdown, and he's too slow to outrun anybody. Marshall talking with Joe Marciano there, the special teams coach.
Well, you got to wonder, if you're the special teams coach right now, you got to be wondering what's going through that young man's mind, just trying to console him a little bit because he knows his prime competitor's already taken one back for 6.
Again, Jarris McPhail will take this one down to around the 15. Tyoka Jackson comes up to make the stop for Tampa Bay.
That was a great shot at Jimmy Johnson and Dan Marino, only because Jimmy Johnson, very, very intense. Finally back into the game. He's fired up. He's clapping. He's intently watching this game. Dan Marino with his arm folded, his shirt's untucked. He's like going, run the ball and get me out of here.
Clock running now under 9 minutes in this one. I don't know if the Bucs were drawn up, but they were in the neutral zone prior to the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 49 of the offense, 5 yards, still second down.
So Tyoka Jackson is saying, see, I didn't do that all on my own. I was drawn up, so Miami will step back 5.
You know, if I'm a defensive player, I got to wonder why they call that the neutral zone. It obviously belongs to the offense because every time somebody catch my tail in there, it's a penalty on me.
That's right. So with the penalty, second down and 12. And if you just joined us, Dolphins 12, the Bucs 7, fourth quarter. Buck did well to get the handoff on that one as the guard looked as though he stepped.
It's a tired-looking group of Buccaneers defenders right there. They've seen an awful lot of the offensive line of this football team from Miami, just slugging it right at them.
40,136 made their way in tonight here at the stadium. And Mike Buck wants a timeout. The clock was down to 3 seconds.
Timeout, Miami, timeout.
So let's take a commercial break. Dolphins up by 5, just over 7.5 to play for Miami. See the safety coming up. McPhail gets the handoff, and he goes inside the 15 to around the 14.
Well, that means Joe, the offense Nedney, must come back into the game. I said it earlier, though. It is really illustrates the ineptness that Miami's had in the red zone, how badly they're missing a tight end. They do not have a tight end. They've actually been contacted by both Eric Green and Johnny Mitchell to come back. They want to come back, and Jimmy says he's going to deal with that next week after he makes his final cuts on Sunday, but they need somebody at that position.
This is going to be a 32-yard attempt. Unbelievable. He missed it. And the crowd rather enjoys that. He had already kicked field goals at 26, 23, 23, and 22, but the 32-yarder was too much. And Pat Boyle, let's go down to the sideline. What have you got for us?
Well, Ron, you know, Randy said the Bucs should burn these tapes, and pretty much they should, but the one guy who would want to hold on to these tapes, Nilo Sylvan, 2 receptions, 108 yards, that touchdown. You know you've made it when you get a nickname. How about Nilo Sylvan away? Ron?
All right, Pat. Miami, 184 rushing, 125 passing, and for Tampa Bay, 61 rushing, 67 passing.
Pretty balanced for both. Not exactly the balance you want from the Tampa side.
Casey Weldon and the intended receiver can't hold on. Ty J. Armstrong from Ole Miss. So with 6 minutes and 39 seconds left in this one, I guess we should kind of pay off what we talked about in the open, and that was how many jobs that Tony Dungy and his staff were looking at. Kick return, we've talked extensively about that. 3rd tight end, also an 8th and 9th defensive back, and a 5th wide receiver.
Well, it's pretty definitive on the one job. He has found himself a returner in Nilo Sylvan. Nilo Sylvan is going to make this football team as a returner. The rest, it really depends on when they get down and break down the special teams tape. Tony Dungy's got to look at it and decide who the 8th and 9th defensive backs are, because that's what they do. What the 3rd tight end does, because that's what he does. What the 3rd or 5th wide receiver is going to do, because that's what he has to do. Remember, Nilo Sylvan is a wide receiver.
Turner in on 3rd down. Weldon under heavy pressure, can't get it away in time. This will be punt number 9 coming up.
Plenty of pressure right there up front provided by the Dolphins. Shane Burton, number 75, the rookie out of Tennessee. All 6'6", 300 of them got off the ground right in Weldon's face.
Tommy Barnhart has been a very, very busy lad tonight. The return to the 46, maybe the 47-yard line for Miller, and we're going to stay right here with 5:47 left to play in this ball game.
We talk about some of the jobs that are available. You know, we've talked about the defensive backs. It is not too late if you're one of those bubble guys somewhere in that 8th and 9th defensive back range to make your impression now on Tony Dungy and on your staff. A comfort zone could be a dangerous thing for a football player. What these guys have to remember that have made this football team, just because you've made the football team doesn't mean you're going to stay on the football team. You got to keep playing like it got you, keep playing the way it got you on it.
That's Jarris McPhail. You can see a headgear flying, and that came off Kenneth Gant.
Watch the end of the play. Leggett gets hurdled. Gant seems to be losing that helmet almost all the way, like it was coming off. He never really got a chance to put it on.
Clock about to go under 5 minutes left in this one. Dolphins continuing to lead by 5. McPhail again. Gooch will be credited with the tackle.
And we joked a little bit about Eric Austin having a little bit of a dingy head, the young man out of Jackson State. But watch number 20 filling up from his safety position right here on McPhail. See Bowie? That was Gant coming in there, and Austin came in right behind him. At least Gant's helmet stayed on that time.
Jarris McPhail loses the ball. Picked up by Tampa Bay. Ball. And Tony is headed to the end zone if he can get by Buck, the quarterback, and he will be tackled by Mike Buck, saving the touchdown at the 7-yard line. Tony Bowie picked up the loose ball. It was Gant, I believe, who knocked it loose, number 29.
You saw that great hit that Gant put on the play before. Comes up there and knocks this ball loose. I don't know if Bowie's hurt as much as he has to be pretty doggone winded after that effort.
61 yards on the return.
Let's take another look at this. Watch the fill in the hole. Right there, the ball comes out and comes loose.
Yep, it was 29, Gant, who knocked it out, and then Bowie picks it up.
You know, the scary thing right there, Ron, is that was almost a 14-12 Bucks lead.
That's right.
With 4:09 to go in the fourth quarter. As bad as they've played, they've got a chance to pull this out and even their preseason record at 2-2.
Scott Milanovich comes in at quarterback. With 4:09, Thompson gets the ball. Inside the 5, he's down to about the 3.5-yard line. .6'3", 227, of course, played his college football at Maryland.
Had a good performance in the preseason opener against the same Dolphin team. In fact, that's why the Bucks were comfortable in letting Kelly Holcomb go last week. I mean, this Scott Milanovich has got all the tools. He had a little bit of a checkered history with the Terrapins up there in Maryland, but looking for a new start here in Tampa.
Leroy Thompson, right side, hit behind the line of scrimmage, and he's going to lose yardage as Shane Burton, who has been very impressive in the second half tonight, makes the stop.
This rookie out of Tennessee has been all over the place. You're taking a look there at Daryl Gardner, number 92, but Shane Burton, number 75, been in on sacks, been putting pressure on the quarterback, and has made numerous tackles on the run.
So you're 5 yards away. It's third down. Vernon Turner checks into the lineup. Keep an eye on number 30. And a timeout called by Tampa Bay with 2:42 left in this ball game.
Well, Milanovich had to call timeout because the play clock was down to about 2 by the time he turned around and called that timeout.
Well, kick off your game day with the official show of the Buccaneers, the Buck Report. Player profiles, game breakdowns, and the last word with Coach Dungy. The Buck Report coming September the 1st on WTOG-UPN 44.
That starts off with that opener against Green Bay, and man, you want to talk about a team that's loaded right now. Defensively, very, very tough, and offensively, it's scary. Edgar Bennett, Brett Favre, Brooks, Jackson, Shimura, good offensive line. This defense for Tampa had better bring the A package in about 9 days.
Yeah, that's a situation where once you get it reversed, which they have, and you get that confidence and playing with that consistency, you become hard to stop.
Yeah, I mean, just like some of those great college teams you see, they don't rebuild, they just reload.
Third down, goal to go. Milanovich, corner blitz. The ball is loose. And it's recovered by the Dolphins out at the 28-yard line, and it's Sean Hill. I
guess in a way it's poetic justice. But the Bucs didn't go up there 14-12 as badly as they played. No one even breathes on the safety coming from the backside. No one sees him. Gets through there absolutely clean. Calvin Jackson goes into the back of Milanovic, knocks the ball loose.
So we got 2 minutes, 31 seconds showing on the clock. There you see the turnover story. 3 for the Bucs and 2 for the Dolphins. Jarris McPhail, who had the ball stripped from him on that last series, comes back running with abandon.
Yeah, right now the band members have changed with the same old tune. They're just strumming these guys inside with a running game.
And Tampa Bay is going to take a timeout with 2:13 to stop the clock, and that was a first down run by Miami.
Remember, there's a lot of things to practice in the preseason. This is the last time Tony Dungy and his staff will get to practice the end of a football game before it counts for real.
If Calvin Jackson spoiled the party here with his blitz, Milanovic never caught sight of him. It actually was an extremely gutsy move on Miami's part because they brought him from the corner. And I thought that Tampa, I know they had 2, if not trips. Well, they couldn't have had trips set to that side, or they would have brought the corner. But
a veteran quarterback would have known that was coming by the defensive setup.
Yeah.
Would have seen the defense, would have seen the coverage, and known the possibilities, and at least would have looked back there.
McPhail again, and he's going to be hit at the line of scrimmage. And Tampa will call another timeout and stop the clock at 2:07. Melvin Johnson was the defender making the tackle.
You know, in practicing this type of situation could be invaluable somewhere in the next month. Somewhere in the first 3 or 4 games, they're going to need to win a game late in the game like this. Late in the fourth quarter, they're going to be down by a little more than a touchdown, need to get themselves 6 points, and what a great time to practice it. The problem is, if your defense does this well, stops them, they punt. Now, the second part of that equation is your offense has to come in with about 1:25, 1:30 seconds left and drive the ball down the field.
So time is back in, and this certainly will be the final play before the 2-minute warning because Tampa wants to hold on to that one final timeout that they have. Mike Buck is going to throw on 3rd down. Charles Jordan is the person he wanted, and they moved 1 more second off the clock, so we are at the 2-minute warning. We'll take it with them. Timeout on the field. Dolphins 12, Bucs 7. Right back after this. They put 1 second back on the clock.
And now, I think now they're calling it the 2-minute warning.
Well, the clock is still showing 2:01.
Oh, Miami called timeout.
Yeah. Well, why not?
You know, one thing we mentioned just a little while ago when we were off is if you're looking at what the offense for Tampa has done, and as poorly as they've played tonight, consider also the fact this offense has generated a field goal in 8 quarters.
That's right. Because the special teams have the only score up there tonight.
So it's got to be a point of considerable concern for Tony Dungy and the staff. And we can't just hang it all on, you know, Trent Dilfer and Casey Weldon. I mean, there's enough to go around. Because there's 11 guys out there on the field at any one time, and when your offense is working like this, it generally means only 9 of them or so are doing their job, and there's always a couple of guys managing to screw up.
Plus the fact Eric Rett not being in camp is another cog not in the wheel.
Well, obviously, from hearing from his agent, he considers that a definite bargaining chip in his favor.
Now for sure we're at the 2-minute warning as Charles Jordan makes the reception, and we'll take a break. Officially 1:54 to play in this football game.
Actually, Tony Dungy should have a very difficult time making these last 7 cuts if he was in the gray area about very many of these people, because he hasn't got a chance to see much of his offense to evaluate the receivers and the tight ends. And defensively, he hasn't seen much of his defensive backs outside of tackling, because there's so many of the running backs have gotten through to the secondary. All you really know, you don't know if they can cover, you know if they can tackle.
McPhail tries to get outside on the left, puts the shoulder down, and he'll take it to the 40-yard line, and Tampa will use their final timeout. Clifton Abraham defensively on the stop for the Bucks. Casey Weldon. Casey does not look too enthused about his performance tonight.
Well, probably nobody offensively and defensively for this team can be very excited. Special teams wise, not a bad performance, but as you take a look at there, Steve Emman, number 94. He of the multiple knee injuries. I did the game between Dallas and Indianapolis a couple years ago, 3 years ago actually, when he blew out his ACL, his medial collateral, and his patella tendon. So it's a miracle that he's playing again.
It really is. Numbers on Casey Weldon, you saw him there a moment ago. Casey 5 of 13 for 37 yards. That's McPhail who takes it off tackle, and Demetrius DeVos comes up from his linebacking spot to make the tackle. McPhail, we've got him 12 carries, 55 yards. As you look at Tony, I remember when he was playing with Pittsburgh, a really rare situation, but it was a real head knocker in the dome one Sunday. Bradshaw got knocked out as quarterback, and Krushak, the old Boston College quarterback, was their number 2. He got knocked out. Tony was a safety, but they had no other quarterbacks. And of course, he played quarterback in Minnesota, so Chuck Noll called him over and said, how many plays do you know? Because you're going to run a quarterback. Well, he threw an interception, and he had intercepted one of the ball games. So a rare double, one on offense, one on defense.
Maybe the first time a quarterback's done that since leather helmets.
Jimmy Johnson's team 46 seconds away from winning this preseason game.
A fumbled ball. Tampa Bay has the ball.
And it looks as though Clifton Abraham came away with it. So the clock is stopped now. 39 ticks showing on the clock. Now McPhail, this is 2 fumbles on him tonight.
Ball is loose there. Before he ever hits the ground, that ball is coming out. You know, if I'm a Tampa Bay fan, living here and looking forward to Green Bay and the rest of the schedule, I think at this point you have to put a lot of faith in Tony Dungy and the fact that he can get this team motivated. This is a team that offensively is not looking to be great. They're looking for a running game and quarterbacks that don't kill them. The key to this team and the key to this season is going to be what Tony Dungy is strongest at, and that's defense, and defenses that turn the ball over.
Milanovich throws the pass. Williams, the intended receiver. Carl couldn't hold on to it. He zinged that one pretty hard from close range. J.B. Brown again, closest man to it. 44 seconds left.
You know, Tony Dungy's one of those guys, kind of like your dad growing up. You did something bad, and you didn't know what was worse. If he was going to whoop your butt, or he was going to tell you he was disappointed in you. And Tony's one of those guys who can look at this offensive and defensive teams in the locker room tonight, and as bad as these guys feel about playing badly, he could tell them, you know, guys, I'm really disappointed in you, and they might feel worse.
Watch Shane Burton again. He's got a sack. Couple of tackles, gets those hands up, and knocks this pass down.
Well, a young guy out of Tennessee, not like he's never seen balls thrown in the air. He's had plenty of practice jumping up, trying to block him in practice up there in beautiful Knoxville, Tennessee, with Peyton Manning back there at quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Milanovic has his man open. Did he keep his feet in bounds? Nope. Courtney Hawkins trying his best to keep him in, but the ball was just a little too high.
Well, that has been the theme of the night for the Bucs quarterbacks. Just a little too high and wide.
So it's 4th down. 31 ticks left on the clock. Milanovic on 4th down. Picked off. Calvin Jackson, touchdown. So Calvin Jackson comes up with a sack. It causes a fumble and gets an interception for a touchdown. Pretty good night.
All kinds of tackles. Looking good tonight. You know, this Tampa team, in my opinion, has got the potential of being a 500 football team, building to better things in years to come. But if they don't get production out of their offense, and they are this unmotivated and get kicked around like they have tonight, I mean, the quarterbacks have not performed well. They'll have people wondering if Doug Williams or Steve DeBerg got any eligibility left.
20 seconds left in the ball game, and the Dolphins on top now by a count of 19-7.
One thing you have to remember too, if you look at this score and you saw the morning newspaper and you said, oh, 19-7, that's not too bad. You've got to remember all the penetration Miami got down inside the 10-yard line. You had 23, 29, 26, 25-yard field goals where the early scoring out of Nedney could have very easily been touchdowns, and this would have been a lot uglier.
That's hard to believe, but you're right. Jim Marciano, the special teams coach, visiting with his guys.
See Derek Brooks and company up there paying attention, going to be ready to go on the punt return, our kickoff return team. John Lynch was right up there in the middle.
Mm-hmm. John has been in the middle of everything tonight, in the secondary and also in the special teams as well.
I'll tell you, Derek Brooks is a guy that, Tony Dungy, matter of fact, told us today he'd be very surprised if Derek Brooks doesn't have a great year for him this year at Tampa. And I agree 100%. This is a guy that can make things happen. Another one of those guys the computer might have spit out. Not a real good numbers guy in his stats or his basic statistics as far as size and weight, but this guy can play football.
Another guy here that can play football, number 55, Brooks. By the way, this ends a streak tonight. 9 straight preseason games that the Bucs had held opponents to 17 points or less. Wow. Marshall almost gets taken in 2. Jeff Kopp gets credited with that special teams hit. Wow.
That had to hurt. Watch this. The flash you see is number 52. Jeff Kopp just came in and sliced Marshall in half. Talk about capping off a bad night. Marshall was in a direct competition with Nilo Sylvan. Sylvan returns the ball for a touchdown. Marshall had a fumble. Didn't have very many chances to field, and now he almost gets decapitated.
This is Turner. Milanovic gets it to him for a gain of 8 yards. We're at 4 seconds, down to 3. And that will be the final play of our ball game. And the Dolphins take the second preseason meeting between these two clubs. Final score 19-7. We'll take a break and come back and wrap this one up momentarily. 63 yards rushing. Dolphins 217 on the ground, a total of 342. 4 turnovers against Tampa Bay. Time of possession, all of those stick out and tell a huge story.
This was worst case scenario for Tony Dungy and his staff. This is not the way they wanted to end the preseason. This is what they got, though. They're going to have to figure out a way to make a rose out of this one.
For Pat Boyle and Randy Cross, I'm Ron Franklin. The final score, the Dolphins 19 and the Bucs 7. Good night, everybody. Don't forget to join Pat Boyle and head coach Tony Dungy every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock for the Buck Report, right here on your official station for the Bucs, UPN 44.